Hello, I'm John Pollock, and this is Fight News Now, the MMA edition. What's happening, fight fans? Welcome to another episode of Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, and today we're looking way ahead to UFC 166, where we are going to break down Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, number 3, as well as Daniel Cormier taking on Roy Nelson, and Gilbert Melendez will meet Diego Sanchez. Plus, we'll hear from Anthony Pettis and Uriah Faber, who will both be in action at UFC on Fox 9. John Ramdeen and Robin Black pop by for 3 rounds, and later on in the shift, Corey Erdman interviews a porn star. Yes, you heard that right. But first, it's this week's Newsmakers. The third installment of the Velasquez-Dos Santos rivalry is rapidly approaching. Each man holds a victory over the other, with JDS scoring the knockout back in November of 2011, while Velasquez answered back with an overwhelming decision victory in December of 2012. Here's a closer look back at one of the most competitive rivalries in the history of the UFC's heavyweight division.
When Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos first met in the Octagon, they were tapped as the main event on the first UFC on Fox show. Velasquez came into the bout as the undefeated champion after dominating Brock Lesnar and finishing him in the first round to claim the title. Across the cage, Dos Santos held a 7-0 record inside the Octagon, with 5 of those victories coming by stoppage due to strikes. Just 64 seconds into the bout, Cigano landed a devastating right hand which sent the champ crashing to the floor, and followed it up to secure the win and the UFC heavyweight title.
I have no words to say what I'm feeling. It's amazing my life, you know.
I have much more than this, and I will come back, and I will get this belt back, for sure.
The two would meet again a little over a year later, this time on pay-per-view at the UFC's year-end show. Both fighters had shown their dominance in the division since their first fight, with Dos Santos knocking out Frank Mir in his first title defense, and Cain Velasquez destroying Bigfoot Silva in a bloodbath. Once the bell rang for their second meeting, it was all Velasquez as he turned Cigano's face into a hideous swollen mask over 5 rounds. With the win, Velasquez reclaimed the title, setting up an obvious rubber match between the two dominant heavyweights.
Cain Velasquez gave his best to finish the fight, and he couldn't. And I finished him in 1 minute. We have to know who's the real number 1.
On October 19th, the two best big men in the world will once again meet in the center of the Octagon. Velasquez will look to use his wrestling and pressure, much like he did in the second fight, to fluster Dos Santos and force him backwards, negating his powerful striking. Having Daniel Cormier, who also fights on this card as a training partner, should be a huge advantage for the Mexican-American. JDS has been working with Olympic wrestler Kitag Plyaev on his takedown defense, and will definitely be looking for that one power shot that scored him the heavyweight title once before. At UFC 166 in Houston, we will find out who the baddest man on the planet truly is.
Now, there is no debate that this will be a battle of the top 2 heavyweights in mixed martial arts right now. The debate does come down to who will be able to impose their game plan here. And I think the key to this fight is going to be the Cain Velasquez wrestling plan that he comes into this with. We saw him absolutely humble Junior Dos Santos in their last fight, and you have 25 minutes for Junior Dos Santos' camp to rewind and come back from that very, very tough defeat. Now we're going to hear from some of our pros as they predict this third fight between Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos.
I don't know, man. That one I'm going to take a timeout on.
I think JDS is going to come prepared for the takedown and the sequences, but at the same time, I really don't know if he can stop the takedowns of Cain.
And Velasquez give knockdown in the first round, and Dos Santos resisted because he's a warrior, no?
Cain, I just love how he's a big guy. It fights like a little guy. He's got a great motor. He mixes it up well with his Muay Thai and his wrestling.
He's got some heavy hands, so I think once he lands and connects with some of those punches, I think Junior Dos Santos will go down. So those heavy hands are going to be in his favor.
I think Velasquez is going to take it. It's going to go pretty similar to the second fight, but I could see Velasquez finishing it this time.
We never know. I think it's a 50-50, no? I think it's a great match.
Man, that guy looked like a beast in his last fight. He looks very determined, so for that fight, I definitely have to go with Cain Velasquez.
We'll just see. JDS, I hope you're wrestling, bud.
The co-main event of UFC 166 features another heavyweight clash as the former Olympic wrestler Daniel Cormier goes toe-to-toe with Dana White's favorite active fighter, Roy Nelson. It's a fight with pending title implications, and as if that isn't enough, the two have engaged in some heated trash talk, and here's a look at how all of that went down.
After Daniel Cormier stated he would beat up Roy Nelson as a favor to UFC president Dana White, Big Country had a choice name for the AKA standout.
Having a lot of black friends, they would say that would be more of an Uncle Tom move.
The back and forth would continue on Twitter. Finally, Cormier made up his own bout agreement and sent it to the Las Vegas native. Nelson happily signed the handwritten agreement and sent it to Dana White. With the win over Nelson, White has stated that Cormier would likely be in line for a fight with light heavyweight champion John Jones. However, after posting a slimmed-down photo of himself, Nelson feels he should get the title shot with a win. Regardless of the outcome, fans can expect a firefight in this one, with Big Country's overhand right and granite chin going up against one of the most decorated wrestlers in the sport.
Gilbert Melendez versus Diego Sanchez could very well be the fight that steals the show at UFC 166. Both men are known for putting forth exciting, high-impact performances, and a decisive win for either man could make a strong case for a title shot. Here's what some of the pros are saying about this potential dogfight.
Oh man, that's going to be awesome. I don't think that fight's going to get finished. That's going to be fight of the night, if not fight of the year. These two are just going to battle it out.
Diego Sanchez is always in a good fight. You know, that's one of those guys who, anytime he comes in the fight, it's war.
But I got to take Melendez in this fight. I think his crisp boxing and boxing defense, not to mention his takedown defense, is just going to create a lot of problems for a guy like Diego.
Yeah, Mr. Melendez, Gil's going to do it. He'll do it. He's hungry, man. I talked to him at the expo. He's hungry and he's pissed. So it's going to be a good fight, man.
Gilbert Melendez. Yeah, I'm going to go Gil. Gil's tough, man. Gil's real tough, man.
You know, I can see Gilbert Melendez just throwing it like, I am a better technical fighter than you, but just throwing it out the window because he knows that that's just going to be a barn burner street fight.
I expect this fight to be good, but I think Gilbert Melendez is going to take it.
I got to take Melendez in this fight. It's going to be a tough one, man.
If they didn't train to fight and they met in the street, it would be just as great a fight as they would in the octagon.
Joseph Valtellini has strung together 3 consecutive victories, including back-to-back TKOs. We recently caught up with the young kickboxing prospect who breaks down his upcoming bout with Kareem Gadji at Glory 11 in Chicago this Saturday.
My opponent has a lot of experience, and that's his biggest strength in this fight, but I actually look at it as a disadvantage. Having over 100 fights, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. I'm the more explosive fighter, I'm more technical, so I feel he kind of walks into my style, so I'm confident that it's going to be my fight. I got to actually fight on the same card as Tyrone Spong in Glory, New York. He has a lot of experience. Those two actually fought before, so this is their rematch fight. But Tyrone Spong was a lot younger at that point and not as experienced. I have to go with Tyrone Spong in that main event.
UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis and challenger Josh Thompson haven't been shy about trading cheap shots when it comes to the build-up of their fight. At a recent press conference for the UFC on Fox 9 event, Pettis went on record stating that he aims to make short work of his first challenger.
My main goal is to stay active. I mean, after I fought Henderson, I decided to take a fight right away. I feel for TJ Grant, man. He's injured. Yeah, the concussion's nothing to play with, so hopefully he gets better, he gets his shot at the lightweight title, because he was supposed to be where I'm at. Fighting Josh, we were going to fight actually before I signed the Henderson fight. We were in talks about fighting in Texas, and now it's here. So a little trash talking was done. I respect him as a fighter, and I'm going to do what I set out to do. I want to finish these guys in the first round.
After failing to capture UFC gold on 2 occasions, the California kid Uriah Faber has adjusted his game and gone on to earn 3 consecutive victories over solid competition. Now standing in his way is Oakdale MMA product Michael McDonald, who has only lost to champion Renan Barão since entering the UFC. Here's what Faber had to say about McDonald ahead of their bout.
I wouldn't say he compares, exactly like anyone that I've fought before. I've fought some really dangerous strikers, Jose Aldo, Barão. Cruz thinks he's dangerous. He's good. He's not dangerous, though. I feel like what he brings right now is super unique to the weight class is that he's really, really accurate. He's one of the most accurate strikers in the division, and I'm one of the most durable and well-rounded fighters in the division. So leads to an advantage for me, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to being tested. Like he said, he wanted to test his chin, this big old chin right here. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm ready for that. I've been testing it for the last 10 years.
And we are here with John Ramdien, and you look ahead to that Fox card coming up in December. John, we've talked all year about what a great year it's been for Team Alpha Male, and what a way to cap it off with Uriah Faber, Chad Mendes, and Danny Castillo all on that card in their backyard of Sacramento.
Outstanding, and especially when you're led by Uriah Faber, one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts, and every time he steps inside of the cage, it's just explosive fireworks.
And could wrap up with a 4-0 year for Uriah Faber. But what is coming up on 3 rounds?
Well, UFC 166 is quickly approaching. We'll take a look at some of the fights on the undercard that could have title implications.
It's one of the best fight cards of the entire year. John Ramdien and Robin Black are chatting about it after the break as we continue on Fight News Now. Welcome back to Fight News Now. It's John Pollock here with you, and I am tagging out because it is time for 3 rounds with Robin Black and my favorite person to follow on Twitter, @John Ramdien. And guys, you're going to be discussing UFC 166, which the 3 of us are going to be watching at about 6 a.m. in a bunker somewhere in Russia.
I cannot wait. The UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line in Houston, Texas, as Cain Velasquez takes on Junior Dos Santos in the 3rd fight. Going into the 1st fight, people expected Cain Velasquez to be the man, the heavyweight champion of the world, to remain the heavyweight champion. A little over a minute into the 1st fight, Junior Dos Santos, I think, shocked a lot of people, took Cain Velasquez out. Everybody thought, we didn't get to see the best Cain Velasquez. Went into that fight with some injuries. Junior Dos Santos believed that he got to see the best Cain Velasquez. In the 2nd fight, we didn't get to see the best Junior Dos Santos. He overtrained and so on and so forth. But Cain Velasquez absolutely brought it, and Junior Dos Santos said, you know what, this guy hits like a girl. I lasted 5 rounds with him. He didn't put me down. The only thing that's going to be different in this 3rd fight is I'm going to be in shape, and I'm going to smash Cain Velasquez.
Hey, man, that's where you got to go mentally. That's where your head's got to be at. And you're right. We did not, in the case, we have one guy firing on all cylinders and the other one not. And Dos Santos came in. He said in the 1st fight, he said he had an injury or 2 himself. But Cain Velasquez, and this is not a myth, this is the fact at the time. This was the first show on Fox, and the story coming out of AKA was Cain's knee was destroyed, and in 100% of fights, he would have canceled that fight. But because there was so much on the line, it was the first one on Fox. It was the heavyweight championship of the world. He went through and he fought. He was knocked out quick. And you could see he was tentative right from the get-go. He didn't shoot on a guy that you really should shoot on early, or at least mix it up. But then in the 2nd one, this is not a myth either. Dos Santos' biochemistry was way out of whack. And when that's the case, you cannot work with the same intensity. Now, are we going to see both monsters at 100%? If so, killer.
I have a feeling that's what's going to happen, because Junior Dos Santos, we know he's made a number of changes, brought in a medical team to make sure that he is in prime shape, isn't overtrained, and ready to peak on October 19th. And if that's the case, if we have the #1 and #2 heavyweights maybe in the history of mixed martial arts colliding on October 19th, we are going to see something very special, I have a feeling.
We can argue over who are the best heavyweights of all time in context of setting and so forth. But when you're going to look at who are the best heavyweights in terms of physical performance, in terms of the ability to explode and perform, these are the 2 best ever. Because we're in a period in human history when we use diet, we use training, we use all of this science in the gym to be able to teach these men, and the knowledge, the full knowledge base of the full gamut of the game, to be able to teach these guys to fight at the highest level. This is a phenomenal fight. These are the 1 and 2 best heavyweights, probably, like you said, of all time. It's a very, very exciting thing to see the heavyweight championship.
We do have to look at the fact that Cain Velasquez trains alongside Daniel Cormier, a guy that's quickly rising the ranks in the heavyweight division. We know he's going to drop down to 205 pounds, but this guy's an absolute monster. And Cain Velasquez has said, I have harder fights, harder sparring sessions with Daniel Cormier than I have had actual fights in the octagon. So when you have a training partner of that level who's that motivated, it just gives him an advantage.
100%. I have Cain Velasquez in this fight for a number of reasons, but for sure the big intangible, the big turning point is DC in the gym, and that is huge. I mean, We've seen the Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier team in hockey be able to drive each other. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, the two best football players in the world, performing together. We've seen it with Pippen and Jordan. And I don't know anything about sports. I had to go ask guys who these guys are. I know about fighting, and that's it. But when you've seen guys that are that good together, they push each other, and they're peaking on the same night. That is the one thing that I think will put them both over the top in their fights.
Of course, the heavyweight championship of the world, the pinnacle of all titles in mixed martial arts. When we look at the undercard, there are so many fights that could have title implications. We have Hector Lombard taking on Nate Marquardt. If Lombard comes out there and absolutely obliterates this guy, you would have to imagine that he would be inserted into the mix for challenges for George St-Pierre. We have Jessica Ai taking on Sarah Kaufman. Sarah Kaufman's defeated Miesha Tate, been in there with Ronda Rousey, and Marloes Coenen has fought for a title in the past. So you have to imagine if she comes out and impresses, again, she would be injected into that top 10, especially when they're trying to develop the division. Same with the 125-pound fight between John Dodson and a man that's making his his UFC debut, Darrell Montague, 25 years old, excellent record, has lost to Ian McCall, so you know how legit this guy is. And we've talked about it in the past, 1 or 2 victories at 125 pounds, especially if you can impress people, you're now in the title hunt.
Montague is one of the best 125-pounders in the world, certainly the best that was outside of the UFC, proven, battle-tested, but it's a tough call to come in on your first fight and fight a guy as good as this guy. It's going to be a great fight, super fast, man. You're going to have to watch it in slow motion.
Daniel Cormier taking on Roy Nelson in the co-feature. We expect that if Cormier wins, he's going to go down to 205 pounds. If he can impress people, if he can take out Roy Nelson, where do you think he'll stand? Does that give him stock in the 205-pound division, or does he have to get a couple of victories before he faces off with John Jones?
All of a sudden, there are relevant people at 205 to fight John Jones. You know, we got Teixeira coming up, and you got to see the Gustafsson rematch. But if he can beat Nelson and drop to 205, he's right there at the top. Nobody's beaten him, and I don't see Nelson doing it, although I've been wrong about Nelson a million times.
And Mr. John Pollock, what's absolutely nuts about this, we talked about all these killer fights. We forgot to talk about Diego Sanchez and Gilbert Melendez.
Insane.
Again, this is going to be an outstanding card. Entertainment from top to bottom. I think this is going to be the best of the year.
This looks like just a phenomenal card on paper. And Robin Black, congratulations. You are the first fight analyst to ever use the term, his biochemistry was out of whack in that fight. Very appropriate. You can catch more of John Ramdeen and Mr. Biochemistry himself, the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen of combat sports, every Monday night at 7 Eastern. Stick around because after the break, Corey Erdman is going one-on-one with a porn star. That's right, Christy Mack is going to be here. Plus, we've got this week's viral video still to come. Welcome back to Fight News Now. We've got an action-packed Saturday full of kickboxing coming at you, starting with Infusion at 4 p.m. Eastern, followed by Glory 11 Chicago, featuring Tyrone Spong and Joseph Valtellini at 9 p.m. But right now, it's time to head on over to the shift.
Adult film star Christy Mack recently visited the Fight Network studios, and Corey Erdman caught up to chat with her about MMA, War Machine, fighter salaries, and of course, some porn.
What made you want to get into this in the first place? Because you were a tattoo model before, you were an actress. You just decided one day, hey, I'm going to go and shoot porn?
Actually, yes. I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go do something different. I'm going to do porn.
Do you have a lot of friends in the industry? Because, you know, someone would look at you and be like, oh, she's not like anyone else in porn right now.
I mostly keep to myself. I don't like to go out and party. I don't like most of the things that other girls in porn, like the lifestyle that those girls are attracted to. I don't really live that lifestyle, so it's hard to find common ground with other people.
War Machine, he used to tweet you all the time, right? Is that how you two came to be?
No, actually it's not. He was stalking me and I didn't want any part of it.
Is it weird being ringside watching someone that you care about in a fight, or is it exciting for you watching?
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's a little nerve-wracking at first, and then you just hope he wins, but I kind of like to see him get hit. Puts him in his place. I like to see him get beat up a little bit, but I still want him to win. So it's like a fine balance. I'm kind of sadistic.
Is it, you must enjoy then watching him cut weight, because he gets real miserable and must hate his life for a little while.
He does, and then he milks it a little bit.
you kind of have similar professions in that you both fighters and actresses have to, you kind of hustle on your own, you're independent contractors. Do you think that fighters should be compensated better than they are? I know you don't have sympathy for him inside the ring, but do you think that he should be paid better than pro fighters are right now?
Yes, I do. I think it's travesty, honestly. He doesn't get paid shit. Nothing. For all of those months of training that he does, he gets a very small return. He doesn't get paid during the training for leading up to the fight, and if he wins the fight, he gets an okay amount of money. But for me, the ends, it doesn't seem worth the means.
Right.
And I know he sees it that way also. He often goes on Twitter rants about it. He's right a lot of the time. It's sad that fighters don't get paid.
Then you have to deal with sponsors not paying you as well. I know he dealt with that recently,
Yes.
right? A sponsor just didn't pay him.
Yeah, he had $5,000 coming to him. He got maybe $800-900 out of it. That was it, for wearing a shirt, everything.
Have you become a fan of the sport since being with him, or were you a fan at all beforehand?
I was a fan beforehand. I didn't watch a huge amount because I'm not really into sports that much. I go to his fights, I support him. I support him in his training, and I support his friends. If his friends are fighting, we'll go to a fight. But for the most part, everything's remained the same.
What is your prediction for the tournament coming up? I know he's going to be in the Bellator welterweight tournament. Is he going to go all the way?
I hope so. He already won the first round. The next round's coming up on October 18th in Iowa. So hopefully he wins that one too.
That's it for the shift this week. Back over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. We have just about wrapped up, but first is this week's viral video, and it features UFC featherweight Chad Mendes.
No big deal. No big deal. Future champ right there, baby. Condit, what do you think?
What we didn't show you was Carlos Condit's attempt right after that, and it was terrible. That is going to wrap us up for another edition of Fight News Now. I want to thank all of our guests for stopping by. You can, of course, catch the MMA Report every Thursday on FightNetwork.com. And when will you see us again? Well, I want to inform everyone, this is the season finale of Fight News Now. But don't worry, because the next season will be starting up in just 3 weeks from now, as we are taking a long-deserved hiatus. But we will be back. So on behalf of everyone here at the Fight Network, John Randine, Robin Black, Priscilla Carapin, and Corey Erdman, I'm John Pollock. Thank you for watching, and we will be back in 3 weeks.
Let me hear some game.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot here. Come on here. Okay. Nope. I got nothing.